All right, guys. So my customer calls me up, and I'm showing you a picture on the internet here because I didn't have my camera with me. But anyway, he's got one of these 27-ton 224cc Champion log splitters. Okay, it's a log splitter. You get it at Home Depot or wherever. It's all over the place. All right, and he tells me it won't run, or at least it runs for a few seconds or a minute and it shuts off. All right. So I ask him how old it is, and I go over there. He's a friend of my wife's, and I said, I'll do you a favor, help you out, So I go over, and he says it shuts off. So the first thing I do is I look at the spark plug, all right? Now, the spark plug is a torch. So I'm like, oh, this is going to be nice and easy. So I take the torch spark plug out, and I put in an RC12YC, which I brought with me. And same thing, it would start for a second or so, and then it would shut off. I'm like, Now, a lot of you guys who do small engines know exactly why it wouldn't start, and you're probably laughing and saying, oh, Kenny forgot the obvious. And I did. So anyway, I say, all right, let's check this thing out, and it sounds like it's not really getting any fuel, I was thinking about fuel, did the spark already, so I take off the fuel line, and it looks like it's getting a little fuel down there. So I take off the carb drain screw, and it's coming out, but not too good. I'm like, okay, the carb's probably dirty. So I said, let me take the carb off real quick. I'll clean it. I'll bring it back, and we'll see what goes on. So I take the thing home and take the carb apart, and it's got a little bit of dirt, but it's fairly clean, and I ultrasonic it and clean it good, and looks like brandy new. All right. So I bring it back, and we set it up, and I tell the guy, let me let's get this thing leveled out. And he goes, what? I said, yeah, you're on a little bit of an angle here. Let's get this thing level, because I like running engines when they're level. They're supposed to be level. So he says, okay. So we level the thing off, and here's where it got interesting. And let me show you a picture of the engine. I'll be right back. Let me show you that 224 engine. I'll get a picture of it. All right. Here's the Champion 224cc engine. It's got a 0.8 gallon gas tank on it. It's really cool. Okay. And the solution to the problem is in that description there, but I'm not going to show you that yet. Let me look at the other pictures here. Let me scroll down. I'm going to look at this picture right here, okay? All right, now in this picture, the solution to the problem is right there, and those that know small engines probably already guessed it. So anyway, we put this thing on level ground, okay, because you always have to have an engine on level ground, and I'm pulling and pulling and pulling. Now, I'm not getting any spark. I'm not getting anything, okay? So, if you haven't figured it out yet, that little black thing right there with the wire going down, yeah, you guessed it. The low oil sensor. It says it right there. Low oil shutoff sensor. Anyway, I said to the guy, do you check this oil at all? And, he told me he did and everything. I said, well, let's check it. So I pulled the dipstick out, and there's literally nothing on that dipstick. Now, the way to check these, it's like a Honda. It's a Honda clone. You put the dipstick, you unscrew it, and you stick it in. You don't screw it in. And I said, dude, you don't have any oil. He goes, yeah, but it was running. Why it was running is because he had the thing on an angle, and the way he had it on an angle, whatever oil was in it was enough to lift up the sensor, enough to get it running, and it stayed running for a little bit, and then it would shut off because it's got that little timer box there, and after about 30 seconds it would shut off. That's the function of the low oil sensor. It'll run it until, it'll let it start, and then it senses the no oil and it shuts off. That's what that box is all about with the low oil sensor. So by having it level, the oil's not going to one side. It's not tilting the sensor. Now it's not allowing any spark whatsoever. So I said, why don't you go get a quart of oil? So he went and got a quart of oil. He brought the oil back. We put it back in, started up on the first pull, ran perfect. And I said to him, I said, you're lucky you didn't blow the engine. You're lucky the oil sensor did its job. But I feel like an idiot because normally when I work on things, you always check the oil, things like that. I didn't check the oil this time, and I didn't realize it had the low oil sensor because this engine is buried in this log splitter. You really can't see that sensor. It's along the side next to a weldment, and you really have to go around and see what it is and where it is. So just a tip, guys, if you're working on these log splitters and you're having a problem with them, just make sure you have oil in it and you have enough oil in it, because that low oil sensor, hey, it did its job. And I tell you, rookie mistake. I should have just went there the first day, checked the oil, and I would have been on my way. But I got a few bucks out of it. I didn't charge them to clean the carburetor because that was my fault. But in the future, especially on generators and lock screws, anything with these Champion engines and these Chanda clones that have the oil pressure, the oil sensor for the low oil, yeah, check them. Make sure you got oil. All right, that's it for now. The simple things will always bite you in the butt. And this one bit me. Simple, and I missed it. All right, guys. I'll talk to you soon.